السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
الحمد لله نستعينه ونستهديه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد، إن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. أما بعد. We praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Lord of the heavens and the earth. We testify that there is no deity worthy of worship except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is his slave and his final messenger. Whomsoever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chooses to guide, none can misguide, and whomsoever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chooses to misguide, none can guide. We testify that the most truthful speech is the speech of Allah, and that the most authentic of books is the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whomsoever leads to an innovation is leading to a stray, and every astray leads to the misguidance, and every misguidance leads to the hellfire. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us from the hellfire. Allahumma ameen. Actually, it's quite an interesting experience because this is my first time being in the masjid after 3 months. And it is a sad state of affairs. But inshallah, we should take comfort in the fact that whomsoever used to be attached to the masjid before the pandemic and was stopped from coming to the masjid due to the pandemic, he is still or she is still reaping the rewards even though he is stuck at home. Because of the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that he knows that if this pandemic was not to occur, we would still be in the masajid on a normal basis. So we are still getting the rewards staying at home. Allahumma ameen. This is a very good rahmah. But the topic of today's khutbah would be Surah Yusuf. Surah Yusuf, a very beautiful story, a very in-depth story. And this is one of the few stories in the Quran which actually is very easy to follow, in the sense that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not cut back in the middle of the story to a different topic and then jump back to the story. As we know, the Quran at times is choppy, because the Quran came in response to the social circumstances in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would respond or give feedback or give clarification to things in real time. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would be narrating a story, and then something would occur in the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then Allah would have to cut away from the story to give guidance about a certain situation, and then He would go back. That is why in the Quran, sometimes when you give the Quran to the non-Muslims to read, their number one complaint is it is very hard to follow, that it is choppy. At the beginning, Allah would talk about one thing, He would cut away very abruptly to something else, and then cut back to the story. That is why, for example, in Surah An-Nisa, the first 2 or 3 pages of the surah, Allah is talking about inheritance, about what to do if your father passes, or your mother passes, or your grandfather, your aunt, how do you distribute the wealth. And then for almost 15, 20 pages, He talks about completely different aspects. And then the last 2 verses of the surah, of the chapter, He cuts back to inheritance again. So why is it that the first 3 pages, Allah talks about inheritance, then talks about a whole different thing in between, many different topics, not just one, many different topics, about jihad, about fighting the battles, and being just with your wives, and so on and so forth, and then cuts back to the last 2 verses, after 15, 20 pages, talks about inheritance again. Because the Quran was revealed in real time, that is why. But Surah Yusuf is unique in the sense that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala narrates the whole story in one solid piece, and that is why it is very sweet. It is easy to follow. It is actually very nice to follow. It is something that you can read to your child as a bedtime story, really. And we know that when we were kids, we used to read very small, short stories that used to have morals. Little Red Riding Hood, the 3 Little Pigs, and all these little short stories, and they instill little morals into the children about perseverance, about saying the truth all the time, about being patient, that with evil comes good, and good is always triumphant, and the truth will always win. These little things they teach us as kids with these little stories. Likewise, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaches us a lot of different lessons in Surah Yusuf. And unfortunately, we cannot go over all of them today, but we will try to go over the core of them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala begins Surah Yusuf by saying, نَحْنُ نَقُصُّ عَلَيْكَ أَحْسَنَ الْقَصَصِ بِمَا أَوْحَيْنَا إِلَيْكَ هَذَا الْقُرْآنَ وَإِن كُنْتَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِ لَمِنَ الْغَافِلِينَ. Allah is addressing the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, saying, we narrate unto you the best of stories from what we have revealed in this Quran. And we know that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the top. He is the number one of mankind and angels as well. But Allah makes it clear that even him, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is ignorant of many things except which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told him about. وَإِن كُنْتَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِ لَمِنَ الْغَافِلِينَ. Allah says, if it were not for him, if it were not for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam would have been ignorant of this story. He would have been unaware, which means he only speaks, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam speaks and narrates to us only that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has licensed him to say. وَمَا يَنْطِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ. He only speaks from revelation, not from his desires. So Allah makes it very clear, وَإِن كُنْتَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِ لَمِنَ الْغَافِلِينَ, that you, O Muhammad, even being Muhammad, you would have been unaware of this story. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala jumps in straight to the story of Ya'qub, the father of Yusuf alayhi salam, when his son tells him that I saw in a dream 11 stars, the sun and the moon, they all prostrated me. And Ya'qub being a prophet, and we have to understand that this family of Yusuf is a product of generation of prophets. Yusuf was a prophet, his father Ya'qub was a prophet, his father Ya'qub's father Ishaq was a prophet, Ishaq's father Ibrahim was a prophet. So this is 4 generations down the line, we're talking about a family, a lineage of prophets. That is why Ibrahim is called Habul Yameen, the father of prophets, because from his progeny came these prophets in succession. So we're dealing with a high-ranking family, a high-ranking generation here. Generation after generation, in succession, in consecutive nature, came prophets. And even this family, knowing their rank, they had a lot of family problems. They had a lot of family feuds, as any other human being would have. This just goes to show that the prophets were not supernatural beings. They had family conflicts. Their sons, their daughters, they also fought. And they boycotted one each other. So their own brothers sometimes plotted against them, as in the case of Yusuf. When his father heard of the dream, he told Yusuf, do not tell your brothers of this dream, because they will plot against you. Yusuf was the second youngest of the children, of the 11 brothers. And the father, being a parent, knows the mental makeup, the predisposition of his children. If he is a smart father and a father who is attentive to his children, he would know their nature. And he figured out that if Yusuf was to brag about this dream from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, his brothers would become even more jealous than they already were. And they would plot against him. Nevertheless, even though Yusuf followed the advice of his father, being a young child, his brothers still plotted against him. And they realized that their father, Yaqub, being a prophet, favored Yusuf, the youngest son, over the rest of the children. And this is something that we should point out, that your children, they can pick up on cues and clues that show which son or daughter you favor the most. And while they may not outwardly, explicitly mention that to you or bring it up to you, they know deep inside that you have a special soft spot for one of your children. And later on, this can become a source of great conflict in the family, especially after marriage and many other different things. They won't hesitate to point out to you that you always favor this son or this daughter over everyone else. So if this son were to do the same exact error or fault, or if he were to have the same exact deficiency as I would have had, you would go easy on him but go hard on me. You would overlook his or her fault and blast me into the skies just because I did half of what he did. So the bias becomes clear. And the bias becomes even more clear as the parents age. But in the case of Yusuf alayhi salam, this may have been justified. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum." Verily the most honorable of you in the sight of Allah are those who are most fearful of Allah. And the only way you can actually favor someone above another is through the taqwa of Allah. You cannot have bias towards or against someone just because he has more money or less money, or because he's your boy or he's not your boy. No, but the only way you can favor someone else above someone or lower than someone is only based on righteousness, at least from what we judge from outside, what we see from outward appearance of righteousness. Only then we can rank people. But even then, that does not give you the license to be unjust towards someone. But you can love someone more because he fears Allah more. And obviously this is in accordance to the Sharia, that we are supposed to love those who love Allah more and dislike those who dislike Allah. So Yaqub, the father, favored his youngest son Yusuf because he saw outward righteousness and piety from Yusuf compared to the rest of the brothers. And the brothers picked up on that, and they said, let us plot against our youngest brother. Let us kill him. Imagine your own brothers, 10 brothers, all older than you, plotting to murder the youngest brother. I mean, what kind of family dynamic has to exist for that to even be a thought? For that to even be a possible thought, that your 10 older brothers are plotting to murder the youngest one. And mind you, we are talking about a family of prophets, a generation of prophets. We're not talking about our family members where this family feud could be possible. We're talking about murder here, a plot to murder. Spill the blood of a young innocent child, not just any child, but a future prophet. Your father is a prophet, his father is a prophet, that father is a prophet. We're talking about this family, that they are plotting to kill their younger brother. Because of what? Because of jealousy. That's what I'm coming to, jealousy. Jealousy is such a negative emotion, is such a black, dark state of being, to always be consumed by rage, jealousy, and hatred. And this is a problem which is rampant among the believers, but as well as just a problem for humanity in general. But believers, this is not supposed to be a problem. إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةٌ. Believers are brothers. There's no room for jealousy. But this jealousy leads to such a dark, evil state of being that you just continuously compare yourself to your Muslim brother. What he has, what he doesn't have, how many kids he has, what his kids are studying, what kind of job he does, what kind of salary he's making, right? How many houses does he have? Where does he have them? How many cars does he have? What kind of cars does he have? You're always comparing yourself to someone else. And the only type of comparison that we should be making, the Prophet ﷺ said, is to those who are less fortunate than us. Rasulullah ﷺ said, do not look at those who are more fortunate above you, because that will lead to jealousy. Look at those who are less fortunate than you, so that you can bestow upon them that which Allah has given you. And this will make you more thankful to Allah, that Alhamdulillah, Allah gave me this. Allah gave me that, while Allah did not give him that. And that should not make you arrogant. That should make you humble, that Allah favored you above the rest of the people and given you that specific blessing. And that blessing is not for you to hog and hoard. It should be for you to spread amongst the people. That is the only way we can compare ourselves to people, is look to people below us. Not out of arrogance, but out of humbleness and thankfulness to Allah. And Allah says that وَلَقَدْ فَضَّلْنَا بَعْضَ النَّبِيِّينَ عَلَى بَعْضٍ, that even Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given ranks to the prophets. Allah has favored some prophets over others. Allah gave Sulaiman the power of this whole earth. He was the king over mankind, over jinn, over animals. Everything was under his control. But Muhammad ﷺ was the most, if not the most, poor prophet and messenger of all the messengers. Because even amongst the prophets, Allah has ranked them because of his wisdom. Likewise, amongst the human beings, Allah has given some people blessings more than others, and it is not for them, it is not befitting for them to hoard it for themselves. And that is what the spirit of sadaqah and zakah and zakatul fitr is. Coming back to the jealousy, this leads to something called the evil eye. What is this evil eye? This is called al-ayn. This is when you become so enraged by jealousy of another person, you wish him harm. You don't explicitly wish him harm, but you wish that instead of him having it, you had it. As I say, better in my hand than in his. That's a capitalist society. Everybody trying to rip each other off. $1 in my pocket is better than $1 in his. It doesn't matter how you get that dollar, it's just better in my pocket. Even if you're not going to spend it, even if you don't have any need for it, it's better in my pocket than it is in his. The capitalist society. This leads to something called al-ayn, that you wish the brother harm. And this phenomenon is so powerful that this harm can in many cases materialize, and misfortune can befall your Muslim brother because of your evil jealousy. And Rasulullah ﷺ said, if there was anything so powerful to change the decree of Allah, it would have been, and it is rather, this evil eye. This evil eye has the power to change the decree of Allah. Of course, not the decree of Allah, the Lawh al-Mahfuz, the ultimate decree of Allah, but they have many different levels of the decree. And it can change the smaller one. So you change the misfortune of your Muslim brother because of this evil eye. And that is why in Surah Al-Falaq, we say, قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ مِنْ شَرِّ مَا خَلَقَ وَمِنْ شَرِّ غَاسِقٍ إِذَا وَقَبَ. And then the surah continues, وَمِنْ شَرِّ حَاسِدٍ إِذَا حَسَدَ. That, the last verse says, we seek refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the one who is jealous. This is in Surah Al-Falaq. This jealousy is such an important and negative emotion, dark feeling, that it can bring misfortune in the life of those who are jealous and in the one who is the victim of the jealousy. Because when you become jealous, all you can do is think and compare, and you are consumed by rage. You cannot live a normal state of being. You're always a hothead. Anything makes you angry. Anything makes you angry, especially when you see someone excelling and you're not. Going back to the jealousy, Yusuf's brother, they figured out that this dynamic was going on, so they plotted to kill him. They said, "Uqtulu Yusuf, kill Yusuf, aw tarahuhu arda, or cast him away in a faraway land, so that your father's face, that means your father's attention, your father's devotion, your father's love, compassion, and care will be reserved only for us." So they saw that Yusuf was distracting their father Yaqub from them, so they said, let's get rid of the source of the distraction, thinking that it will turn their father's love and attention to them. But one of them who seems to be more on the righteous side, he said, are you serious? Are you really going to kill Yusuf? That's too far. Let's throw him in a well. So then when a caravan that passes by comes to drink water, they'll find him and pick him up and take him somewhere away. So he'll be far away from us. You don't have to kill him. So this one, قَالَ قَائِلٌ مِّنْهُمْ, it is not specific which brother said this, but it can be implied it is the older one, because later on towards the end of the story, we see that the older brother was having more righteous statements in the story. They said, don't kill Yusuf, throw him away. Killing, that's crazy, that's insane. So they said, okay, fine. We won't kill him, we'll throw him down the well. And you know, whatever happens to him, happens to him. But the thing they said was, وَتَكُونُ مِن بَعْدِهِ قَوْمًا صَالِحِينَ, that after you do this sin of yours, whether it be murder or throwing away your brother, then you could make tawbah, you could seek forgiveness from Allah and become righteous people. Just do this one last bad deed and then you become righteous. Of course, this is not how it works with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You cannot plan to do a sin and then say, after that I'm going to be good. That is not a tawbah which is accepted from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You cannot say, this last time I'm going to drink or I'm going to shoot up and then I won't do it again. That's not how it works. You cannot have the intention to sin deliberately and then say, I'm going to seek forgiveness. Then you are just playing games. Of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can forgive whoever He wants. يَغْفِرُ لِمَن يَشَاءُ. He can forgive any sin He wants. Doesn't matter how you did it. But Allah follows a natural sunnah, that there are certain procedures in place, certain processes that must have been followed, certain requirements of tawbah. And you cannot say that I'm going to sin and then I will be a righteous person. But this is what the brothers, they planned. They said, وَتَكُونُ مِن بَعْدِهِ قَوْمًا صَالِحِينَ. You kill him, throw him away, but after you do it, you're going to become good people. You will become righteous. That means they acknowledged what they were doing was evil. It's not that they were deluded into thinking what they're doing is right. Some people sin because they legitimately believe what they're doing is right. For example, the people on innovation, people who are doing bid'ah, you think they actually believe it's an innovation? They also acknowledge that innovation leads to the hellfire. But they legitimately do it, they sincerely do it because they really believe what they're doing is right. They don't acknowledge what they're doing is wrong. As per their understanding, they understand it to be correct and from the sunnah, or close to the sunnah. But when you acknowledge something is wrong and then you still deliberately do it, that's a different ballgame. Anyway, when they did their deed, they actually went out and they told their father that let us take Yusuf and we'll play and we'll have some fun and we'll watch over him. We will guard him. But Yaqub alayhi salam, from the knowledge what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given him, inspired him with, he knew that something was amok. He knew that something was going on. So he tells them that I fear that a wolf may eat him. While you are playing and distracted, I fear that you will not guard him and protect him and a wolf may eat him. Really, Yaqub knew that something was about and that their brothers were planning something. He had some inkling, you can smell it, the way they were acting and they're talking. But he's not going to say it explicitly. So he gives them a different scenario. He said, I'm afraid that a wolf may eat him. So they said, no. He'll be fine. We'll guard him. And the ironic part was, when they did take him, they did throw him away in the well, and they come back to their father, and guess what excuse they used for not having Yusuf with them? They used the same exact excuse that their father said was going to happen. They said, oh father, that a wolf ate him, and they brought him his blood-stained shirt, although it wasn't Yusuf's blood. They slaughtered some kind of goat or a sheep and they stained it with that blood. And so imagine, look how foolish the sons were. So that's the other thing we should realize, that, you know, our parents, with older age, they can pick up things and they become very wise, usually. Hikmah comes with age, in most cases, and experience. Wisdom comes with age and experience. And he knew that despite their lie, that they have done something evil to Yusuf. And that's why he said, فَصَبْرٌ جَمِيلٌ, that patience is the most beautiful course of action. And this is the other theme that is constantly highlighted in this surah. The theme of patience. The theme of patience. Patience is the key to passing this test of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this life. لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا, to test us who amongst us is good in deeds. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tested Yaqub in many different ways. And the most major of tests was through his family, his son, the family conflicts. فَصَبْرٌ جَمِيلٌ. And he did not lose hope. He said, even though that they lied to him and said Yusuf was dead because the wolf or sheep or whatever ate him, he said, عَسَى اللَّهَ يَأْتِيَنِي بِهِمْ جَمِيعًا. At the end of the story, he says that perhaps Allah may bring them back to me. That means he knew, despite their lie, that Yusuf was still alive. فَصَبْرٌ جَمِيلٌ. And then when Yusuf did end up getting picked up from the well by a passing by caravan, وَجَاءَتْ سَيَّارَةٌ فَأَرْسَلُوا وَارِدَهُمْ. So they put down their basket into the well and they picked up and they found a boy, Yusuf, there. And what did they do? They took him as a slave, as a servant. And he got sold and bought up by the Prime Minister of Egypt. So now he is in the royal palace, you can say, the royal court. So he has somewhat of a VIP status. He's very close to the Prime Minister of Egypt. Now we see another test. Not only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tested the father, Yaqub, he also tested the son. The queen of Egypt, the wife of the Prime Minister of Egypt, tried to seduce Yusuf. As we know, Yusuf was given the maximum amount of beauty and handsomeness of this world. So he was the most handsome of all men. So obviously the woman could not resist him. And she tried to seduce him. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made Yusuf firm and saved him from that evil sin. And the wife of the Prime Minister of Egypt, she flipped the script and lied and said Yusuf was trying to seduce her and was in fact trying to assault her. Look how she lied. So a person from their family said, okay, this is how you resolve the issue. If you see Yusuf's shirt ripped from his back, then you can assume that the wife of the Prime Minister of Egypt was chasing Yusuf and trying to seduce him. But if you see the queen's clothes ripped from the front, then you could assume that Yusuf was the one trying to seduce her, assault her, and she got her clothes ripped because of self-defense or whatever. And they found out that Yusuf's shirt was ripped from the back. That means he was fleeing away and she was chasing him. So when the Prime Minister of Egypt comes to the door of their house and finds all this commotion happening, he told Yusuf, please stay quiet about this. Don't tell anyone about this. And then he tells his wife, وَاسْتَغْفِرِي لِذَنْبِكَ, and seek forgiveness for your sins, for إِنَّكِ كُنْتِ مِنَ الْخَاطِئِينَ, that you are in manifest error for what you have done. You're trying to commit adultery with the servant in the house. Case is closed, done deal. Nobody knows about it. This was under lock and key. But the other theme that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala indirectly points to is rumors and backbiting and spreading gossip, false stories. وَقَالَ نِسْوَةٌ فِي الْمَدِينَةِ امْرَأَةُ الْعَزِيزِ تُرَاوِدُ فَتَاهَا عَنْ نَفْسِهِ قَدْ شَغَفَهَا حُبًّا. That rumors began to fly around in the city that the Prime Minister, the wife of the Prime Minister of Egypt, desires her servant, her slave. Rumors. These were not confirmed. Rumors just began to fly. And note that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَقَالَ نِسْوَةٌ فِي الْمَدِينَةِ. The woman of the city said. The woman of the city said. He didn't say the people or the inhabitants. وَقَالَ الَّذِينَ. He said, وَقَالَ نِسْوَةٌ. The woman of the city said. You know, that implies something here. I'm not going to go into explicitly what is being pointed out here because of the age of political correctness. Okay? Not saying that men are excused. Men also have that problem, but it can be predominant in a certain gender. Okay, without going into more details. وَقَالَ نِسْوَةٌ فِي الْمَدِينَةِ. And because of these rumors that the woman started and rampantly spread like wildfire, Yusuf alayhi salam's life was about to take a serious turn. Because of these rumors, it led to Yusuf being in prison for many years of his life. The Quran is not specific about how many years, although there can be estimates. Because they spread these rumors and these evil stories and these gossip about Yusuf and the Prime Minister's wife, the Prime Minister's wife lost face and credibility, street cred, as you can say. That the woman think that I fell for my servant, okay. She got angry, and in a fit of rage, she summoned all the women of the city into a banquet. And she gave them a knife, gave them their food to cut. And as they were cutting their food, she brought out Yusuf to them. And because they were so spellbound and amazed by the handsomeness and the beauty of Yusuf, they all ended up cutting their wrists with the knives, and they did not even feel it. وَقَطَّعْنَا أَيْدِيَهُنَّ وَقُلْنَا حَاشَ لِلَّهِ. They said, Ya Allah. They were so amazed. They said, this is not a human being, this must be an angel. They thought Yusuf was an angel. مَا هَذَا بَشَرًا إِنْ هَذَا إِلَّا مَلَكٌ كَرِيمٌ. That's how handsome he was. That you could not resist him if you're a woman. Today, when you have that connotation, you could not resist him, some people may think it also applies to men. You could not resist him. May Allah protect us. مَا هَذَا بَشَرًا إِنْ هَذَا إِلَّا مَلَكٌ كَرِيمٌ. So then the Prime Minister, the wife of the Prime Minister, she said, you see all these rumors that you guys are, this is the person that you guys, so I'm basically she's trying to justify what happened. Said, even you guys could not resist. And now if Yusuf does not do what I order him to do, meaning that sin, I will put him in prison. Now look at the sacrifice that Yusuf would have to make. Yusuf may have been justified, would have been justified under threat of life to commit the sin. Because under compulsion, we know that you can do certain things. Even eating pork under compulsion of life, under threat of life, haram things which are normally haram, they become halal to save your life. And this is a principle that is very clear in the Sharia, that saving the life comes number one. Anything after that is secondary. So Yusuf could have done the deed because he was threatened. But he persevered, he was patient, and he said, رَبِّ السِّجْنُ أَحَبُّ إِلَيَّ مِمَّا يَدْعُونَنِي إِلَيْهِ. Oh Allah, oh my Lord, prison is a better course for me. Save me from what they are calling me to do, even if it be in prison. And Allah saved him from that evil deed by placing him in prison. The lesser of the two evils in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was to put him in prison. Look at how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala operates. Normally, people would take the easier way out and have done the deed and be justified in doing so. But in the sight of Allah, what is more honorable? It's for him to be patient and be put in prison. So Allah put him in prison and said, فَصَرَفَ عَنْهُ كَيْدَهُنْ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala removed this plot, this evil plot of the woman from Yusuf by putting him in prison. Allah saved him. But if it was us, we would whine and complain, say, oh Allah, I asked you to save me, and instead you put me in prison. What kind of saving is that? How did you save me and you put me behind bars? I asked you to save me, not put me in prison. You didn't listen to my dua, oh Allah. This is the nature of mankind. وَكَانَ الْإِنسَانُ عَجُولًا. Mankind will rush, but they don't see how Allah operates. Allah does not operate on the same wavelength. Allah has a master plan. Allah has a master plan. وَمَكَرُوا وَمَكَرَ اللَّهُ. They plan and Allah plans, but Allah is the best of planners. Anyway, going back to the story, that when Yusuf entered into the prison, two other men also entered with him, his cellmates, you can say. وَدَخَلَ مَعَهُ السِّجْنَ فَتَيَانِ. And from the get-go, they noticed that just by the outward appearance and demeanor, the way Yusuf carried himself, that he was a righteous person. They didn't even have any conversation. They narrated to him his dreams, their dreams. They saw a dream each. And they said, oh Yusuf, give us the meaning of this dream. إِنَّا نَرَاكَ مِنَ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. We see you from one of those who are good. See, as a Muslim, you don't have to broadcast, I'm a good person. As a Muslim, you don't have to broadcast, I'm a Muslim. It should be clear, manifestly clear, that you are a Muslim just by the way you carry yourself in the streets, just by the way you converse with people, just by the way you do social service to the people, just by the way you help other people, just by the way you interact with other people. They should be able to tell you, this man is a Muslim. You don't have to broadcast it to the people. And the same thing happened with Yusuf. Yusuf did not broadcast to them that I am so and so. I come from a family of this and that. He was a cellmate. So by default, what people would assume that this guy is in for murder or something. Good people don't go to prison. Of course, the justice system sometimes gets it wrong in many cases, but normally what you can assume of people behind bars is that they're in for some serious crimes. Of course, now the justice system, we know that is predominantly biased against a certain group of the population. And even for the most minor of crimes, they get 10, 15 years. That's the system. But normally what you assume that people who are in prison, they're not righteous people. You cannot say they are salih, that they are God-fearing. They may become God-fearing in prison, but when they went in, they didn't go in because they did something good. So why would they assume of Yusuf that he did something, that he is a righteous person? It was just radiant from his face, radiant from the way he behaved. And a Muslim is clear. He is a walking beacon of light. He is a walking nur, illumination for the people. People should be able to feel safe around such a person, feel at ease around such a person, not always being attacked by this Muslim brother, that, oh, he did this wrong, he did that wrong, this guy is wrong, this guy is wrong. No. So when they narrated the dreams to Yusuf, Yusuf saw an opportunity here. He said, they need my help. They want some information from me. They want some guidance from me. Let me take this chance and call them to Allah first. Before giving them what they need, let me give them what they need even more, which is Tawheed, which is monotheism. These were people of shirk. They did not understand the concept of Tawheed. So Yusuf took this opportunity because he sensed that he was in the upper hand, that they must listen to him. So he gave them da'wah of Tawheed. He said, إِنِّي تَرَكْتُ مِلَّةَ قَوْمٍ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ, that I left a group of people that they do not worship Allah. I left a group of people that they worship many other gods or deities besides Allah. O my companions, O my cellmates, is not one Lord better than many separate lords? That you guys are only worshipping names which your forefathers have given to these lords. So Yusuf took this opportunity, said, let me capitalize on the fact that they need to listen to me. They will not leave. They cannot go anywhere. They're not going to get freed anytime soon. Let me use this opportunity to save their soul. And these people accepted the message of Tawheed. Now, when we are in a position of power, when we are in an upper hand, if we are some kind of politician, or we are some kind of manager in the company, or we're in charge of a group of people, and you're their boss, and they must listen to what you say, you can give little da'wah here and there, because you're in the upper hand. They have to listen to you. They cannot shut you up because you're their manager, you're their boss. You have the floor, you have the podium, as they say, you have the mic. You can use it to propagate the message of Tawheed. And this is what Yusuf did. He didn't just give them their dream interpretation and just walk away. He said, no, before I give you what you guys want, I'll give you what you guys need, which is the message of Tawheed. If you guys have family members, if you guys have friends who are very close to you and they're not Muslims, and you haven't given da'wah to them, after many years of friendship, there's something wrong. If you have the ear of people, you must use that opportunity. Look for every opportunity. I know some professors, because their students worship them practically, because their grades and their lives depend on it, they give da'wah in their office, secretly. You cannot speak about religion and give da'wah like this in these kind of secular institutions, unless you're working for the humanities or political science or social sciences department. But in STEM majors, you cannot talk about God in your classes, or it's illegal. But I know professors, because the students have to listen to them, they give da'wah to them, because they have the upper hand. So if you have the floor, if Allah blessed you with a certain position in life where people listen to you, you cannot stay quiet. It is not right. You have not done justice to the floor, the podium which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to you. And when Yusuf gave them the interpretation of the dream, whatever happened, happened. And after some years, he was freed. I'm not going to go into every single detail. He was freed from prison. And he was exonerated. He was exonerated, and the whole plot of the prime minister's wife was made clear. And she made tawbah. She also repented to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Yusuf alayhi salam, after all these years of hardship, he was granted the position of what you can say, the prime minister of finance, you can say, or the wazir. He was in charge of the finance and the food stock of the country. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed him with this high position in the government because of his honesty, because of his integrity. The existing prime minister, the new one who came in, saw that this man would be the right man for the job. We will continue inshallah after the second khutbah. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه واتبع هداه وبعد. So after Yusuf became appointed to this high position, he was in charge of distributing the wealth and the food. You could say the prime minister or the treasury, that kind of stuff. And Yusuf's brothers came to Yusuf because a huge famine had hit their country, Egypt. And they said, "Oh, Prime Minister, famine has hit us and our family, and we don't have any food. Please give us something of what you have. Be charitable with us." So Yusuf recognized them as his brothers right away, but they did not recognize him. So they were talking to their own brother Yusuf, but they did not know it was Yusuf. But Yusuf recognized it was them. So Yusuf told them, he said, "I'll give you this and that, but next time you guys come back to me for more food, you had better brought your younger brother." Binyamin was the younger brother. "Otherwise, you won't get anything from me." The brothers thought, wow, this is a strange request, but they can't say anything because this guy is the man. You want to live, you want food, you want to eat, you have to do what he says. That's the position of power. And you have to use that position of power for good. Anyway, so then they went back to their father and they said, "Oh, father, we have to bring back our younger brother with us, otherwise we won't get any food." So their father said, "Are you serious? I'm really going to give you your younger brother so you can do to him what you did with Yusuf? You guys are nuts." And then they said, no, we promise this time we'll take care of him. And he said, "Really? Last time you also promised, but this time they promised and they swore by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala." Their father did not trust him. They said, "You have to swear with Allah's name, otherwise I'm not going to give him to you." So they swore by Allah's name, and they did try to take care of him. And when they brought him back, Yusuf had a nice grand master scheme. Without going into details, he set up his own brother to make it look like his brother was a robber, because he wanted to keep his brother by his side. And when the other brothers, they had to let go of Binyamin, their younger brother, because apparently he stole, they were worried what they're going to say to their father. They said, "Don't you," the oldest one, "قَالَ كَبِيرُهُمْ أَلَمْ تَعْلَمُوا أَنَّ أَبَاكُمْ قَدْ أَخَذَ عَلَيْكُمْ مَوْثِقًا مِنَ اللَّهِ Don't you know that your father took a promise from you with Allah's name? And what you have done with Yusuf, now we lost our younger brother the second time, what's going to happen? So go back to your father and tell him what has happened here. And we do not know what the real story is. وَمَا كُنَّا لِلْغَيْبِ حَافِظِينَ We do not know the hidden story, but this is what happened." And they said that tell him to ask the surrounding cities and the villages about the authenticity of our story, that our brother stole. Because they know their father is not going to believe them anymore because of what they did the first time. So you see what happens when you lose the trust of people. It becomes very hard for people to take your word any other time later on. You know the boy who cried wolf, that story we hear, that we read as little kids, the boy who cried wolf, kept faking it. So when the real wolf finally came, nobody cared. And the whole flock was devoured by the wolf. That's what happens. You do not want to open the door where people have doubt in your word. A Muslim must be honest. Honest all the time. A Muslim is a man of integrity. But look how the sons of Yaqub suffered, that they knew their father wasn't going to believe them no matter what. So they have to bring witnesses. وَاسْأَلِ الْقَرْيَةِ. Ask the people around the city. They can verify the story for you. And Yaqub again was despairing so much that he became blind out of the grief. And he said, إِنَّمَا أَشْكُو بَثِّي وَحُزْنِي إِلَى اللَّهِ. That I only complain about my grief to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is such a powerful thing. At such a state of helplessness, Yaqub doesn't know who to turn to. His sons are playing games with him. He lost his two beloved, desperate, righteous sons to somewhere for many years. Remember that he lost Yusuf at a very young age. Yusuf is all grown up now. He hasn't seen his son, but he still didn't lose hope. But he has no one to turn to. At a state of utter helplessness and weakness, he turns to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and says, I only complain to him. SubhanAllah, this is such an emotional thing that he even lost his sight because of the grief. And we know a parent's love is unmatched. A parent's love is unmatched. And this is the parent's love that we can see here. إِنَّمَا أَشْكُ بَثِّي وَحُزْنِي إِلَى اللَّهِ وَأَعْلَمُ مِنَ اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. And he tells his son, go back, go look for Yusuf, go look for Yusuf. He still did not lose hope that Yusuf is dead. Although his brothers thought that Yusuf was dead, his father never lost hope. And he said, go. They came back to the prime minister of the treasury, Yusuf alayhi salam. They said, "O Prime Minister, we are in a hard-hit spot. Please give us some more food. Please, we beg you." And Yusuf says, finally discloses to them, "Do you remember what you guys did with Yusuf?" And then they said, "Yusuf? Are you Yusuf?" And he says, "Yes, I am Yusuf, and this is my younger brother. Allah has blessed us." For the one who is God-fearing and patient, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala never makes them lose their reward. So Yusuf's brother was united, Yusuf's brothers were united with Yusuf after so many years. And what do you think Yusuf, as a normal human being, would have done to his brothers? Now that he has the upper hand, he can exact revenge and justice against his brothers for the pain that they put him and their father through. But what he says simply was, "La tathriba alaykum al-yawm." There is no fault against you today. Yaghfirullahu lakum. May Allah forgive you, because He is the most merciful. After all this family feud, remember that they wanted to murder him. They wanted to murder him. So he did not even exact revenge. He forgave them all. Imagine that. That is some serious things here. That they put him in a well and they traumatized him as a little kid. You take a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old, 7-year-old and dump him somewhere in the dark, in the desert, subject to the wild nature. And imagine the kind of trauma this little kid will come out with. Being separated from his family, being thrown away in the dark, being forced to meet the elements of the nature is serious stuff. But Yusuf forgave them and said, "May Allah forgive you." And he did not say it was your fault. He said, "Shaitan, nazagha shaitanu bayni wa bayna ikhwati." He put the blame on shaitan only. This is how you reconcile between family members. Although the other person may be in the wrong, you do not put the blame on him. You say, "Shaitan whispered between us and brought us into conflict. May Allah protect us from the shaitan." This is how you deflect. This is how you reconcile between brothers. You have to use hikmah. When you want to reconcile between people, you do not have to lay the blame on someone's feet, even though that person may be in the wrong. Say that shaitan came between us. Put the blame on shaitan. This makes it easier, don't you think, to reconcile between brothers and sisters, whether it be family or just brotherhood in religion. There are many other lessons we can go through, but the time is up. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us to understand the Quran the way it should be, the way it was intended. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect the Muslim Ummah from this corona pandemic. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to count those who have passed away from this pandemic amongst the martyrs. Allahumma hadina fi man hadayt, wa afina fi man afayt, wa tawallana fi man tawallayt, wa barik lana fi ma a'tayt, wa qina wasrif anna bi rahmatika sharra ma qadayt, innaka taqdi subhanaka wa la yuqda alayk, innahu la yadillu man walayt, wa la ya'izzu man adayt, tabarakta rabbana wa ta'alayt. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين وقوموا إلى الصلاة يرحمني ويرحمكم الله.
الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله، أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح، قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر، لا إله إلا الله.
لا إله إلا الله. استووا استقيموا اعتدلوا. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين، الرحمن الرحيم، مالك يوم الدين، إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين، اهدنا الصراط المستقيم، صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. آمين. إذا السماء انفطرت، وإذا الكواكب انتثرت، وإذا البحار فجرت، وإذا القبور بعثرت، علمت نفس ما قدمت وأخرت. يا أيها الإنسان ما غرك بربك الكريم، الذي خلقك فسواك فعدلك في أي صورة ما شاء ركبك. كلا بل تكذبون بالدين، وإن عليكم لحافظين كراما كاتبين يعلمون ما تفعلون. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين، الرحمن الرحيم، مالك يوم الدين، إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين، اهدنا الصراط المستقيم، صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. آمين. إن الأبرار لفي نعيم، وإن الفجار لفي جحيم، يصلونها يوم الدين وما هم عنها بغائبين. وما أدراك ما يوم الدين، ثم ما أدراك ما يوم الدين، يوم لا تملك نفس لنفس شيئا، والأمر يومئذ لله. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.